I mean, it's interesting because, look, I wish Australia would do this for new migrants, particularly from riskier parts of the world. But a visitor, a tourist from Australia, I don't know, giving your DNA, I mean, you'd think you'd be reluctant to do that. What do you think, Basil?
Well, yes, of course you would with your DNA. I'm sure in terms of the social media history, I would have thought that the platforms can easily give that to any nation that might request them, especially if they happen to be based there and especially if they still enjoy a good relationship with the proprietor, if that is the case with Elon Musk and Donald Trump still. So that part, that bit actually sounds a bit far-fetched. I mean, if they want to know what you've posted previously, then they can go up and look at it. Otherwise, I'm not sure how you're supposed to declare it. But the DNA, well, that's a step too far. And people will rethink their destination of holidays if that's what they're expected to do by going to the United States.
Yeah, I think that's true. The only issue with social media is, I don't know if you recall, but about a year or so ago, I got a list of 100 or so of the Gazans who were given temporary visas to come to Australia. And so I, of course, went investigating and researching and going through their social media, and many had deleted recent posts, controversial posts, and in fact, you know, their entire accounts. And it was only when I dug a bit further into the Twitter likes folder that I saw a lot of action, and I reported on one young male who had liked a lot of the posts around October 7, but then he deleted his main comment. So I think, you know, people can get around this. But Matt, do you think you'd be reluctant, as Basil just said, to actually go to the States if it did mean handing over your children and your wife's DNA?
Yeah, look, it would make you think twice. I don't really know, though, I suppose. It's not something I thought of very much. I'm very happy here, though, Sharri. I don't need to go to any other countries. We've got everything we need right here in Australia. Yeah, so, as I say, I'm not that worked up about it because it's up to them. I don't need to go. I'm very, very happy. I'd love to go to the US for a holiday. Would love to. Be great. But, hey, there are plenty of good places in Australia if I'm stuck here. COVID was pretty good. We had great time here in Australia. So.
Or you might
come
want to go
to WA, Matt. You'd love it over here. It's very nice over here, Matt.
I'm there next week, Basil. I'm there next week.
Oh, well, beautiful. I'm going to come to the airport and pick you up.
You locked us out for a long time. You didn't like us there for a long time, but we're back.
You're welcome now, anytime you like. You too, Sharri.
Thank you very much. Now, let's turn to problems in your own party, Matt. The prominent National Party figure, Ron Boswell, came out today in The Australian. He slammed Barnaby Joyce over his defection to One Nation. And he actually said he hopes he fails in his next political task. Here's what he told the Oz. He said, let Barnaby chase whatever he thinks he'll find. And when Barnaby's wanderings run their course, as wanderings always do, the Nationals will still be here, united, serving regional Australia still home. Matt, what do you think of what Boswell has to say? Do you agree with him? Do you hope Barnaby fails?
Well, look, there's a tinge of sadness for me, Sharri, because I saw the pictures alongside the article of Barnaby and Ron hugging. They've been through many battles before. Ron famously helped Barnaby be elected, and Barnaby did a lot of work too, and as the sort of a ticket that got 4 senators up in Queensland, gave John Howard power in the Senate in 2004. So yeah, after 20 years of fighting on the front lines together, it's pretty sad to see this split. It's reflective, though, of the sadness of a lot of Nationals Party members that have helped Barnaby over the years. And like Ron, I'm not so sure this is going to work out because there's one thing about Barnaby, I know him pretty well. He doesn't like working for the man. He doesn't like working for a boss. And in Pauline's party, she is the boss. In our party, the Nationals Party, there is really no boss. I mean, there's a figurehead in Canberra and David Littleproud right now. But the bosses are the thousands of members who put you there. You can criticise the parliamentary leader and not be kicked out of the party. He can't do that because the party organisation is run by the members, the power is dispersed, and that gives the elected members a degree of freedom, as Barnaby has exercised many times as a member of the Nationals Party.
Just very quickly,
I don't think he'll get that freedom in the One Nation Party, and that might cause some issues.
I want to get to the expenses side, but just very quickly, Matt, would you still be catching up with Barnaby as you would usually do as close friends in the holidays, or are you going to keep your distance now?
I get this. I turn up. You saw me. I turn up at Richo's funeral. I got there a bit early. First Comcar arrives. Who gets out? Barnaby Joyce.
And you had a chat?
I can't repeat exactly what I said, but I said I can't get away from you. and we went and had breakfast. So yeah, we had
Right.
a good chat
We did catch up. All right, there you go. Well,
over eggs and coffee.
Of course.
and it was friendly.
Yeah. Look. He's on a different football team now. So every now and again, I'm going to have to tackle him. And my experience when you play footy against your mates, you tackle him even harder.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the expenses saga. Basil, Sarah Hanson-Young, didn't turn up to her weekly Sky News panel this morning. This after the massive news that she charged taxpayers nearly $50,000 for her husband to travel back and forth to Canberra. Her husband, who's a lobbyist, who has to be there for work. Basil, this is outrageous.
Yeah, there are entitlements, and I think many MPs take entitlements to also mean what is available to them or allowable within the rules. And then there is this very separate category of public expectation. And clearly a number of what we have seen reported from a range of MPs over the last few days, and certainly over the last week or so with Annika Wells, does not meet that very important measure of public expectation, or otherwise the pub test. And just because you're allowed to do it, or just because the rules say you can do it, doesn't mean it is the right thing to do. My hunch and sense out of all of this is that eventually the rules will get changed. They will get tightened up because the public will demand a tightening up. And I'll just say this. I live in Perth and I'm an MP here in Perth. So I don't have to go through the hardships that federal MPs do, especially the ones from WA. It's a big, big commute. And they should have the right to reunite their families from time to time. But I think people have a problem when that reunion happens at the AFL Grand Final or the NRL Grand Final or something like that. And they would have a problem also with it happening too often, and in particular if that reunion enables their partner to go off and do other work that has nothing to do with the reunion. And I think people in Australia will speak very clearly on this.
Well said, Basil. And I think it's outrageous that Albanese isn't coming out strongly on this, as I said at the start of the show. Matt, do you think the rules should be tightened?
I do, Shari. I think the Australian people expect it. Like Basil, I think there's an appropriate amount of family reunion that can be supported, but I think the obvious thing to do here is to restrict that to the parliamentary trips to Canberra, because too often we've seen this situation where people seem to organise trips around other events, which is just not meeting community expectations. So it's a test for the Prime Minister now. It's really up to him, despite his I don't hold a hose act today, saying he's not the Finance Minister, you're the Prime Minister. Anthony Albanese, you're the Prime Minister. You get to set the standards here. He's walking past these examples and saying there's nothing to see here. I was just in a pub in Brisbane for lunch today, and that's everyone wanted to talk about, was all this stuff. And he has got to show some leadership here and clamp down on this. So Annika Wells, one extra thing than what Basil said, he did speak well, but Annika Wells, I don't think she's done everything within the rules, because the rules also say you've got to spend money at a value for money approach. And I think on many occasions she's failed that test.
Yeah, absolutely. Just finally, Matt, I noticed that you've been on a bit of a national campaign to dump net zero. You're out there trying to, sell this message. Last night you were in Toowoomba. And as you just mentioned before, you're going to be in WA next week on another dumping net zero campaign.
Well, I'm on the warpath here, Shari. This agenda is putting down the cost of living for Australians. It's costing us our jobs, deindustrialising as a nation. We're not even protecting the environment anymore. That's being destroyed as well. And I think a lot of people don't really know what net zero is. Ultimately, it's about the government controlling your life and making us all poorer. So, Basil, if you want to join me, come along. I'll try my best to convince you why this is a failing agenda and we need to get our country back.
I noticed your banner, your poster there was in Liberal blue. And that was impressive. Are we about to see more defections?
Well, that's because I'm with Liberals. The Liberal Party's on board with me now, Basil. They want to dump net zero too.
But even so, it was lovely to see.
Basil, you still support net zero, is that right?
Well, what I support is reliable energy, affordable energy, and they have to be the priorities. And I do also believe that many Australians, particularly in a city and particularly female voters, want significant ambition to reduce emissions. And that should always be a part of our agenda, but not at any cost. I've always been very clear on that. I think to walk away from it completely would have been a mistake from my federal colleagues. They didn't walk away from it completely. They still have emissions reduction ambition in their agenda. That was most important for me. I think there is a compromise possible and available, and I think it's there.
Well, it sounds like you're not not exactly the same page, but not too far apart. So maybe you can go to Matt Canavan's.
I'll catch up with you. I'll call you after this, Basil. Let's catch up next Wednesday.
And I'd like to walk you around inner city Perth, Matt. I think that'd be good for you to have a look around the inner city.
Let's go to Fremantle. Let's go to the belly of the beast.
Sounds like you should have a date next week. All right, Basil and Matt, thank you so much.
Yep.